All right, I've gotten a few questions about what the build comp of this looks like, what it puts together, what the parts are, what I've done to it here. I just finished doing a full clean of all my handguns here, so I'll start with this one here, and maybe another time I'll get to the other ones that I have on the table here as well. But for today, I'll just clear this off. We're speaking more particularly about my Glock 34, made for here in Canada. I got IPSC, black badge certification, being able to shoot on the fly, shoot very quickly, and not spend, honestly, 20 grand on, on an STI Staccato or something like that. This thing's been fantastic. I've gone through so much trial and error from running a stock production build to an open class build and being able to say, hey, I'm pretty happy with how this thing is now. I went through a whole bunch of different compensators, red dots, everything here in between. I remember running the 417 from agency for quite some time. As you can see, it's got a bit of a bit of wear and tear on it after all of its usage. I actually ended up having to use JB Weld on this thing to keep it nice and solidified onto the actual gun, but I just had so much trouble with this that I ended up getting rid of it. So what I run now is a bit of a Franken Glock, if you will. There's a whole bunch of different parts that are on here. Some of the best parts of it, though, just to make this simple, I had Black Box Customs in Alberta run the serrations on the front. Obviously very good for press checks. Here, we'll just prove safe for you really quick. There you go. For the press checks, obviously having that serration there just for these is absolutely fantastic. I run a back base plate from Killer Innovations. Once we focus in a little bit there, you'll see. Once you focus in a little there, you'll see. There you go. Nice back plate on there. I have ensured this is co-witness directly with the Trijicon RMR. This is the Type 2 1 MOA. And I have had this thing, if you want a testimony for Trijicon, I've had this sight running for now, I think 6 straight years. It's not on 24/7. I know some duty police officers that do that is on 24/7, but the battery's never died. Literally 6 years of straight use on this Type 2 Trijicon RMR. I know they're a pretty penny, but worth every penny at that point, and there's a good focus on it there. And of course, it's a bit worn, it's a bit scuffed. Obviously, all the holstering, reholstering, and all the bangs it's taken over the years. Yeah, sure, it's not perfect looking, but oh my goodness, if it isn't the best red dot I've ever had. And that goes from the SRO, that goes from the Romeo Delta Point Pro. I've had majority of the modern iron sights or just red dot co-witness builds and not at this point, and this is definitely by far my favorite red dot. I'm trying to get that perfectly there. And this thing's a needle, an actual scalpel, if you will. Groupings within less than an inch of each other from 25 if I want them to be, or if you want to spread them over 6 inches about that 10-foot mark. Absolutely fantastic build so far. I did the stippling myself. I know it's not super pretty, but if it doesn't give me the grip that I need, it certainly does. I'm pretty happy with it. I got to clean it up a little bit from the last range trip, but I did this myself, and it seems to have worked pretty well. I will put a time-lapse video of me doing this as well as some of my other guns that I use, but moving to the front side here, I am running the new Killer Innovations compensator. This is something I wasn't going to do originally just because it is, let's be honest, it's fucking outlandish. Look at that thing. It is massive. It kind of reminiscent of that Terrain Tactical, the Glock 22 long slide that they did, whatever it was. Super long. Obviously, this is a Glock 34 build with the already pre-ported at the very top here. The only thing I did to this, as I said, was actually these serrations. But this thing, in comparison to wherever I just toss it aside, to this, I did like the porting on the 417. It did glide a bit more than anticipated, especially on the move. This thing, I'll post videos of this edited in. This just turns this into a damn needle. Precision shooting, fast shooting, quick out of the draw, and I can usually get those groups within a very close, tight inch of each other, directly out of the draw with multiple shots with this thing. It's a pretty simple design. Obviously, you can see some scuffs over its usage here, and you'll also see that I kind of messed it up by shooting it while it was loose was not a great idea, but I haven't had any issues with it whatsoever since. And of course, yes, this is proof safe, so no worries there, of course. Going from there, all you have to do is press the button, hold it in, twist this off. I just did a red Loctite completely on this. That's what I like to do with my compensators after all these years. I started with blue Loctite, never worked, so I just use red thread locker at this point to make sure that this is on. I shoot a lot and I shoot fast. This thing gets hotter than the sun on a bad day. So this here was coming very loose for me, but as you can see now, it is solid on there and it's not going anywhere. I actually just used this again over the weekend and I wanted to see if it was loose at all. Only thing that I really had to do was to take the Allen wrench and just very quickly go into the set screws and just tighten them up a little bit on both sides. And this is something that I bring to the range as well. Even like while I'm shooting, I just tighten it up a little bit. I know it's not ideal, but hey, this is a competition pistol used for competition only. So I've had to tighten the set screws between like 500-600 rounds of shooting just to be safe and confident with it. Why not? I have not noticed a compensator yet on the market you've not had to do that with, other than the Radiant Afterburner and Ramjet combo, which is just a whole different conversation here entirely. I actually have one that I just took off. I'm about to put it back on to my DR920, mind you, but that's another video entirely there. So here, usually in a float holster, as you've seen in my videos, my stippling, I do have the ZevTech extended mag release right there. I run the ZevTech Pro trigger, which I actually have the box here with my old trigger just sitting in it. This is the Pro curved face one, and again, this is the OG production Glock stock trigger. Nothing wrong with it at all. Nothing wrong with this. Go ahead and use it till the cows come home. There's nothing wrong with this trigger. I just wanted something that I could get those rounds out a bit faster and feel that reset a bit more confidently. So I did switch to the Pro Zev Technologies curved face for Gen 4 9mm, and this thing has been a godsend ever since. I know the Timneys came out with their triggers, which are fantastic as well. I've used them many times. For some reason, I still lean towards this one. After all the different triggers I've used and everything, this just seems to work with this build particularly the best. Other than that, we do have, again, trigger, extended mag release, the stipple job, co-witnessed on the red dot. This is where the Franken Glock comes in, because Killer Innovations highly recommends you use their barrel for this. I am a cheap bastard and already spent about $500 on this Blacklist barrel. Competition, fluted. I can't take it out entirely, but here's what I can do. Show you the inside of it. So ZevTech upgraded spring and guide rod right here. I did also have to pull in the reduction spring, or the reduction ring right here, to make sure that that fits in. That's ZevTech as well. And then that is essentially the fun cleaning job. That's why I do like the Radiant Afterburner combo, because you don't need to do this. It's a quick disassembly, but with my red Loctite on here, there's no way in hell that I'm taking this out for every single time. So it's simple. I still just do that. I feed my snake cord through to clean the barrel, and it's still super easy. I have no problems with it at all. I do highly recommend, if you're ever going to be doing cleaning on these things, if you do go with the Killer Innovations, get a big pack of the long Q-tips. They are perfect. They are amazing for cleaning these. And then, of course, having the different fine brushes. This one is a very tough, gets all the grit off there easily, and then I move down to the soft brush by the end of it. So, but this is to get all that grime, that loose gunpowder, the residue, oil, everything off just first. Give it a nice wipe down with some microfiber cloths, and I have not had any challenges with actually cleaning this thing in its entirety. So that's the build for the Glock at the end of the day. Once you just plug the O-ring back in there, spring back in there, we just line her up nice and easy, and there we go. That is my Glock 34. I call it my Glock 34 competition spec because, let's be honest, that's pretty much all you'd use this thing for at the end of the day, is a competition gun. This is a flared, enhanced, just barely magwell. I did have a much wider one on here at one point. It was kind of a funnel. I do really like how Shadow Systems comes stock with a much bigger funnel on their DR920, MR920 series. I am going to switch to one eventually, but let's be honest, I like gold, and being able to have this all together is fantastic. And of course, I do run on the Versa Tactical base plates. They're a pretty penny, mind you, but as a couple people have commented on, like, me flicking my mags out, this requires me not to do that. Gravity works amazing when you have a bit more weight on the base plates, especially when the mags are empty. I notoriously do what they call the wick flick with mags like this, because when it's empty, it is very, very light, and sometimes actually tough to get out on a hot day. You're on the move, you're on the fly. So what I do, because again, I'm a cheap bastard, I run this on only 4 of my mags, and then the rest of my belt will be 4 of these guys on here. Usually the Magpul, what are they called? G something. GL9, that's what they are. These are great mags as well. I know some people hated on them for the first while, but I have had no issues with these. I actually like these over the production Glock mags at this point too, which is what this one is right here. So that's how my comp Glock was put together, and you'll see some videos here in a sec.